Hello, friends. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Uh, in this edition, I'm going to compare with COVID-19 pandemic with other pandemics occurred in the past. First, it's worth explaining what pandemic is means. The World Health Organization defined a pandemic as the worldwide spread of a new disease. In this edition, I'm going to look back at some of the other pandemics this world has suffered. We'll note any similarities with COVID-19 pandemic and take lessons where we can. Pandemics have played a role in shaping human history throughout the ages. Few people may remember outbreaks on this scale, but history shows us that although it is devastating, what we are experiencing now is nothing unusual. Now we will touch on the other pandemics happened since year 165 AD. Number one, year 165 to 180 AD, the Antonine Plague, also known as the Plague of Galen, after Galen the physician who described it, caused by virus, was an ancient pandemic brought to the Roman Empire by troops who were returning from campaigning in the Near East. Deaths may up to 5 million. At that time, world population was only 150 million. Number two, year 541 to 549 AD, the plague of Justinian or Justinianic plague was the beginning of the first plague pandemic. The first world pandemic of plague. This contagious disease caused by a bacterium, Yersinia pestis, and killed around 30 million people around the world when the population of the world was 200 million. Third one, the year between 735 and 737, Japanese smallpox, which is a more of epidemic, was a major smallpox epidemic that affected much of Japan, killing approximately 1/3 of the entire Japan population. This caused by the variola major virus and death around 1 million worldwide. The fourth one was year between 1347 to 1351. Peaking in Europe, the Black Death was responsible for an estimated 75 to 200 million deaths. In fact, it may have killed half of the entire population of the Europe. The pandemic was caused by a bacterium, again called Yersinia pestis, rather than a virus. Epidemiologists believe that the Black Death also originated in Asia, like COVID-19. Plague transmits via respiratory droplets. However, the Black Death march across the planet was enabled by rats and to flee bites than the humans. The Black Death pandemic eventually waned, and this seems to have been for a few reasons. People began to self-quarantine and they stopped traveling as freely through fear of catching the disease. People also started to hold fragrant handkerchiefs against their mouths when in public. And this might have reduced the risk of infection and transmission and what we are doing today in COVID-19 pandemic. Number 5, since 3rd century BC, smallpox was an infectious disease caused by one of the two viruses, variola major and variola minor. The last natural occurring case was diagnosed in October 1977, and the World Health Organization certified global eradication of the disease in 1980. The origin of smallpox is unknown. The disease historically occurred in outbreaks. In 18th century, it estimated 400,000 people per year died from this disease, and 1/3 of the cases resulted in blindness. Smallpox is estimated to have killed up to 300 to 500 million people worldwide since it started. Number 6, the year between 1629 and 1631, the Italian plague was a series of outbreaks of bubonic plague which ravaged northern and central Italy, caused by Yersinia pestis again, which is a bacteria. It claimed possible 1 million lives, or about 25% of the population of Italy. Number 7, the year between 1665 and 1666, the Great Plague was the last major epidemic of the bubonic plague to occur in England. The Great Plague killed an estimated 1 million people, almost a quarter of London population, in 18 months. The plague was caused by, again, the Yersinia pestis bacterium, which is usually transmitted through rats and through fleas bite. Number 8, since 1817, 7 cholera pandemics have occurred in the past 200 years. Additionally, there have been many documented cholera outbreaks in the world. Cholera is a bacterial infection of the small intestine by certain strains of Vibrio cholerae. The most common symptom is diarrhea, though muscle cramps and vomiting can also occur. Cholera occurs in a person ingested contaminated food or water. However, to prevent cholera, hand washing, access to safe water, and good food hygiene are important. Number 9. In the year 1855, the third plague pandemic was a major bubonic plague pandemic that began in Yunnan, China, caused by Yersinia pestis bacterium. This episode of bubonic plague ultimately led to more than 12 million deaths worldwide. Number 10. The year 1889 to 1890, Russian flu caused by influenza A virus subtype H2N2. H2N2 has mutated into various strains, including the Asian flu strain H3N2 and various strains found in birds. This pandemic killed around 1 million people around the world. Number 11. Starting in 1800th century, yellow fever is a viral disease of typical short duration, was seen in late 18th century. It spread through mosquito bite. The virus damages liver, leads to jaundice. It may also affect kidneys. Mostly seen in Africa countries. Recently killed about 45,000 people in Africa, and it comes in outbreaks. Number 12. The years between 1918 and 1919, much talked about Spanish flu, also known as 1918 flu pandemic, was an unusually deadly influenza pandemic caused by the H1N1 influenza A virus. Lasting about 15 months from spring 1918 to early summer 1919, it infected 500 million people and about 1/3 of the world population at the time. The virus killed approximately 50 million worldwide. At the time, world population was around 2 billion. This strain of influenza, like COVID-19, transmitted via respiratory droplets. In contrast to COVID-19, a 25-year-old was more likely to die from the Spanish flu than a 70-year-old. This is unusual for flu. The pandemic came in 2 waves, with the second wave being deadly than the first. However, rather abruptly, the virus disappeared. Number 13. The year 1957 and 1958 influenza pandemic, also known as Asian flu, was a global pandemic of influenza A virus subtype H2N2 again, which originated in China and killed at least 1 to 2 million people worldwide. Number 14, the year 1968, the Hong Kong flu, also known as 1968 flu pandemic, was a flu pandemic whose outbreak in 1968 and 1969 killed an estimated 1 to 2 millions globally. It was caused by H3N2 strain of influenza A virus descended from H2N2 through antigen shift. Number 15, the year 1981, HIV/AIDS was first clinically reported on June 5th, 1981, with 5 cases in United States of America, maybe originated in West Central Africa. HIV/AIDS or human immune deficiency virus is considered by some authors a global pandemic. However, the WHO currently uses the term global epidemic to describe HIV. As of 2018, approximately 37.9 million people are infected with HIV globally. Since the early 1980s, HIV has claimed the lives of more than 32 million people worldwide. HIV spreads primarily by unprotected sex, contaminated blood transfusions, hypodermic needles, and from mother to child during pregnancy, delivery, or breastfeeding. Comparatively, COVID-19 spread through communities much more easily within a matter of weeks. Another important difference is that there are currently no drugs that can treat or prevent COVID-19. Although there is no vaccine for HIV, thanks to antiretroviral medications, people who have access to care can now live long and healthy lives. Number 16, the year of 2002, severe acute respiratory distress syndrome, or called SARS, became the first pandemic of 21st century. Like COVID-19, SARS was due to a coronavirus known as SARS-CoV-1. It also originated in China, mostly affected older people. Scientists believe that COVID-19 virus originated in bats, moved into pangolins, a mammal, then entered humans. Similarly, SARS virus began in bats, but it moved to civets, a mammal, before to humans. Both SARS virus and COVID-19 virus can be transmitted via droplets from coughing or sneezing. Globally, SARS infected more than 8,000 people in 29 countries, and there were 800 deaths globally. In the year of 2009 and 2010, swine flu pandemic caused by H1N1 virus affected an estimated more than 500 million people and 200,000 deaths worldwide. Both swine flu and COVID-19 infection cause symptoms such as fever, chills, cough, and headaches. Interestingly, some older adults did have immunity, and 80% of the fatalities occurred in people younger than 65 years. This is not the case with COVID-19, which affects all ages, and old people are at more risk. 18. The year 2014 and 2016, Ebola, also known as Ebola virus disease, is a viral hemorrhagic fever of humans caused by Ebola virus, transmitted through wild animals and started in West Africa. The disease has a high risk of death, with an average about 50%, killing around 12,000 people worldwide, mostly in Africa. the year 2015 till now, Middle East Respiratory Syndrome or MERS, also known as camel flu, is a viral respiratory infection caused by MERS coronavirus. Infected around 3,000 people worldwide and deaths around 900. And number 20, of course, the COVID-19 pandemic in the year 2019 and 2020. Infected 7 millions worldwide and killed more than 400,000 till to date. This pandemic still active as of on June 7th, 2020. Lessons to be learned. Although there are significant differences between the pandemics above and COVID-19, there are some key takeaways here. Surveillance is important. We need to know who is affected and who has been affected. Indeed, testing is key to our understanding of COVID-19 and how to slow its progress. We have also learned that physical distancing, wearing facial masks, and quarantine measures work. Where a pandemic happens, both geographically and historically, also makes a difference. Would the Black Death have been so devastating and the people of the time had access to modern medical treatments and understanding of how germs spread and improved nutrition? Probably not. It may be of a little consolation, but it might help some of us psychologically to remember that we are not the only humans to have experienced such trials and tribulations. And we will not be the last. It is also important to remember that pandemics do end and that modern science and medicine can be an incredible force for good. We no longer live in dark ages. We are better armed today than we have ever been. Thank you for watching this video. Stay safe. Bye.